Well, I know the CPA is valuable, especially in public accounting. Really, the accounting major for me is a supplement to the finance major, and just to help me out when I hopefully am working in investment banking. And so the CPA, it also requires you, I'm pretty sure, to stay extra years in school. And so, yes, and so that is another thing I'm looking to jump right into the work world and get going right off that.
And if you're going Big Four, you do that.
Right, if I was going Big Four,
You always got that option.
Yeah.
What, and I noticed that you were tutor picker.
Yeah, I did a project with them last semester.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Okay, so we didn't work at the firm. It was a team of 4 undergrads and 4 MBAs that was selected to work at TCU and do an outside project for the firm. And so Tutor Pickering was looking to expand their asset management branch through acquisition. And so they had us basically doing due diligence for them and looking for potential funds that they could acquire. And so we worked with the MBAs. That was a great experience to learn from them. And over the semester, we came up with a list of about 250 different funds, and then narrowed it down to 18 or so.
Primarily in the energy space.
All energy.
All energy,
yes.
Yeah.
And so after we narrowed it down, then we went and presented our 18 to Tutor Pickering with the top 4 and presented those to them as potential targets that we recommended.
Define a hedge fund for me.
So a hedge fund is it takes multiple investors' money, it pools it together, and then uses that to invest larger numbers in whatever they're investing in. So it could be the stock market, it could be in fixed income or in derivatives. So that's what the basic definition of hedge fund is.
Were you guys interested in a particular type of strategy within those hedge funds you were evaluating?
We were in a way. They already have a long-short equity fund. And so if we found a long-short equity that was really doing really well, then that would be a target. But in general, we tend to stay away from long-short. Other than that, we're just looking to diversify in whatever way we could. So one of the ones that we suggested was an LP fund. And so it's just anything that would add to the diversification.
Or macro fund or something.
Yeah.
What, if you look at that research that you did on those hedge funds, describe kind of some of the bigger overarching things that you saw in regard to hedge funds, like, huge dispersion returns, those kinds of things. Tell me what you learned from that project.
Yeah, one of the things that I really did not know going into the project that was really an eye-opener was the majority of hedge funds don't do well at all. A lot of them, their returns were way down, and so over multiple years. And so it was almost a surprise for me to see consistent years positive returns. And so that was something that I learned, was that hedge funds are pretty risky, and not everybody knows what they're doing when they're trying to run money.
Now, what's your relationship between Paradigm and SRH?
So Paradigm is the corporation, and under its 3 funds. And there is the Apogee Fund, which then runs.
And that's small cap?
And yes, it's small cap, long short.
Okay.
And then there is SRH, which invests in global CDS. And so it's credit default swaps in mostly foreign countries and some foreign banks, etc. That's mostly sovereign debt. And then there's a gold fund that does primarily management of just gold moving around when investors wanting to buy gold. They're setting up what vaults it's in, etc.
Okay.
Talk about the hedge, the housing market dynamics in Denmark. I see you spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And the implication and such for making an investment in CDS.
So one of the big problems over in Denmark right now is their housing market, it already had a bubble and bust. And so now the problem is it's kind of moving into one again. And a lot of their mortgages is a similar problem to what the U.S. has. They're switching to adjustable rate mortgages. And so the interest rates have changed on them every year. And while they're low right now, due to the EU keeping rates low because they're pegged to the euro, years or so have increased from about 15 to 70% in the country. And so not only that, but a lot of the loan to values are 80% of the value of the properties in the loan. And so if these people have trouble with defaulting, then it's going to be a huge strain on the banks. And so that's what the firm's looking to capitalize on is the bank failures in the area, and that's what they're investing in the CDS for.
If, let's just say, Denmark were to fall on sovereign debt, how might that impact other countries in Europe? Kind of talking the implications of talking through what's going on in Europe, and then the implications for the fall.
So Denmark's a relatively small country, but most people in Europe, small in terms of output, GDP, not and people really. They've been less. It's a smaller country in all aspects, but a lot of people in the Euro area have been seeing Denmark as a safe investment, and it's because they haven't quite dug into these bank mortgage problems. So there's really been a lot of people buying Danish bonds, and so if the sovereign debt were to default, then because the country's having to deal with all these bank failures or bail out these banks, then that would be, it wouldn't be a huge effect on Europe, but it would definitely have an effect on the people who are investing in the country.
Who holds those bonds?
It's really a lot of foreign investors, so who were investing in maybe some of the bigger countries like Italy and Spain, but now they're scared by the currents.
Is that European banks?
Yeah, and really even countries such as like China are moving their investments out into Danish bonds.
So just to pause real quick, that was very thorough. I think we both appreciated that. The key is Nick was able to speak very intelligently about the bullets on his resume. If you have worked on a project, you spent a lot of time with enough soda to merit a bullet on your resume, you need to be able to speak to it intelligently. And not just kind of what you did on the project, but Nick was able to speak through the implications, he understood the different moving parts, why it was important, and was able to have a conversation with us, as if we were all three colleagues. So, that's kind of the key. So I know that it's worth continuing to lob questions at him. He's obviously sufficiently